My name is Yuri Marmerstein. I am a professional acrobat and teacher, so I perform in Las Vegas, and at the same time I travel the world teaching workshops and seminars on hand balancing, acrobatics, movement, flexibility, strength, whatever other buzzwords you want to throw in there. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. I mean, trends always come and go. So let's say 100 years ago, a typical gymnasium, it didn't have machines. It had free weights, it had poles, ropes, rings, wrestling mats, all this other stuff. And then at some point, towards kind of, I guess, the bodybuilding culture of the 70s, we went into more of the isolation, the machines, and now kind of going back to what that old school gym was. CrossFit's definitely helped a lot, and a few other players in the game to help bring that back. But here's the idea, and it kind of goes back to, I'm very loosely paraphrasing that Socrates quote where, it's about finding what the human body is capable of. And here's the difference, right? If I'm training only bodybuilding, and I'm not knocking it, there's still a lot of benefits to that kind of training. I'm not learning to use my body for what it was made for. If I'm doing acrobatics or handstands or body weight strength, it's this is kind of where evolution has taken us, and there's a lot of possibilities. And I think it's a lot more enjoyable to be able to do something with your body, to be able to learn a skill. Not only for the skill itself, but also for the process that it takes to learn it. And it's still a lot of hard work to do bodybuilding and to be dedicated to that, but that process of learning a skill and making the mistakes and then eventually you have that down, it's not only is it a huge rush, but it also helps you to grow as a person, because the more new skills you learn, the more you can learn other skills. So to me, it's something that I've been obsessed with more recently. I've had a lot of obsessions. It's been capoeira, it's been strength, it's been gymnastics, it's been tumbling, tricking, all of that. And now it's about how to be a student. So how can you streamline your own learning process to skills? And one of the best ways to do that is to continually learn skills, and then you learn faster and faster eventually. So every workshop's a little bit different because of the variation I get in the crowd. So this workshop in particular in Dublin, we're focusing a lot more on handstands. So day one, for example, was more streamlined towards kind of the basic handstand progression. So as an adult, what's the progression you need to take towards being able to do a freestanding handstand? What physical restrictions are there holding you back from achieving what's more classic form? What the differences are between the different techniques in the handstand? And then not only the physical restrictions, but also the psychological restrictions. So how do we get over a fear of getting into the handstand? And on top of that, there's also a lot of material for teachers, because a lot of people I get are trainers themselves. So it's not only how to develop and perform the handstand, but also how to teach it more effectively to students of different levels, different abilities, and different learning styles. So day two is today. We're getting into a little bit more advanced handstand training. We're getting into different position work. We're getting into progressions of the press handstand, handstand push-ups, Mexican handstand, and then depending on the facility, so the facility we're in today, it's more martial arts focused. It has a matted floor, so we'll be able to do some tumbling and some basic acrobatics later on as well. And the idea is, again, there's a lot of information this weekend. It's a really good mix, I think, between the theory and the practice. So it accounts for different learning styles of different people, but also people don't get too tired from just doing handstands for 6 hours a day. But yeah, it's a lot of information. A lot of it comes from my own experience of my acrobatic approach from training myself, but also I've trained with the Olympic gymnasts, I've trained with world-class circus artists, so break dancers, capoeiristas, martial artists as well, and dancers. So I can take a little bit of what I've seen from all these different communities and apply some of those concepts to the training. It's about having a standard for quality. So there's a difference between doing something and doing it well, and doing it up to a point where it's elite. And that could be literally anything. It could be walking, it could be breathing. Most people don't practice how to breathe, and most people, to some fact, don't breathe very well. Same thing with walking. So we can take any movement in our day-to-day lives and it can be improved upon. Whether it's not heel striking when we walk or run, whether it's breathing deeper, whether it's making a deeper breathing pattern, just being softer. And then we can get into the actual skill work. So whether we're doing handstands or acrobatics or dance, there's so many levels of refinement. So learning the movement, learning the actual skill is a very small part of it, and most people can learn a skill in one day. And then it's the years it takes to refine the skill, so being able to do it on the spot, being able to apply it to different situations, being able to have the versatility to do it in imperfect conditions, the entry and exit of the move. So to me, that idea of better quality movement is it's about applying the highest possible standard to everything we do and continuing in that regard. So it's about a consistent improvement of who we are. For the most part, yes. Obviously, there's going to be a few people who have severe limitations in shoulder range, and even still we can do some variation of that. But absolutely, that idea of supporting ourselves in our arms has huge benefits in terms of strength, for general population, bone density. And then for me, there's kind of a more, I don't want to say spiritual factor, but it's not, so the handstand itself is cool and it's a nice party trick and it takes a long time to accomplish, but it's more so about the process. So in the process that it takes me to learn how to do a handstand, and that can be at any level. Maybe it's the first time getting up into the wall without fear, maybe it's learning how to hold the one arm at a very advanced level. That process that it takes to allow me to learn that skill and to get it consistently is where the value is, because I learn a lot about myself and I learn a lot about my own learning process. And hand balancing in particular is a good skill because it's not something that you can cheat with. You can't take a pill and get better at handstands. You have to put the work in, and you have to consciously understand what's happening in your own body. And there's few skills that really demand that kind of wakeful consciousness and precision that the handstand does. So really at any level, and it could be, again, any level, even a basic push-up position hold all the way up through one arm combinations can develop a lot of not only strength but also consciousness and awareness in how people move.